action. Hi everybody, it's me, JVR, coming at you with another Theater Thursday. As you know, every Thursday I do a movie review. This time I'm going to be doing Disney/Pixar's WALL-E from 2008. This movie is absolutely adorable. It's a little bit, on the older, it's a few years old, but that doesn't matter, whatever. If you haven't seen this movie, if you don't know anything about it, consider this your spoiler alert. Take it in. There it is in glory. Okay. The movie WALL-E stars this little robot. Obviously, his name is WALL-E. He lives in this, I guess you could say, post-apocalyptic era. Like he lives on planet Earth, but the Earth isn't like the way we see it. How we live it today. Like years and years ago, the humans stopped caring about the planet. They stopped caring about what it looks like and how it should be cared for. They kind of let animals and the plants and all kind of die off and shrivel up, and it became this big dumping ground. And eventually the Earth got so bad that they're like, okay, we gotta do something about this. So the world got evacuated, and they all got on this ship called the Axiom, and it was a space cruise ship, and they all went into space, and it was supposed to be a 5-year cruise, and they left the WALL-E robots to clean up the mess, and then in 5 years they were supposed to come back, and it was all supposed to be clean, and they were supposed to live there again. For some reason, that didn't happen. It actually, became hundreds and hundreds of years that they ended up staying in space. They never went back. And the Earth never got any better because the WALL-E robots, there was hundreds and hundreds of them. Eventually they all broke and they all kind of died, and there's only one left, and that's our WALL-E that we see in the film. And he does what he's supposed to do, which is he still continues, even though the world is gone to garbage anyway. He still tries. He makes little dirt cubes, because he's a miniature dumpster, and he compacts it in, and he makes it a cube, and then he stacks it. Although he's supposed to throw everything away, he doesn't necessarily do it. He actually goes out of his technical directive or his objective, and he actually sometimes collects things to see if whatever interests him. Because I think it's because I don't think WALL-E's ever met a human. I don't think he's ever seen one. So I don't think WALL-E understands what humans would have been like. So I think he looks at the object, and I think he wonders what they did with this thing, But other than that, it's pretty normal. But he does the day-to-day. But one day he is doing what he's supposed to do, and the ship comes from space, and it drops off a pod, and the pod releases another robot, and her name is Eve, and she's cool and futuristic. Eve, now why is Eve, the main reason why Eve is there is that she's supposed to scan the world to see if it's gotten any better. I don't know why it's so late, past the 5 years that this scanning, I guess, was supposed to happen. I guess, traveling in time and space, it takes longer to get there, but moving on. So she's supposed to scan the world to see if it's gotten any better. Obviously it hasn't. She's supposed to be scanning for plants or signs of life to see if it's habitable again. And obviously WALL-E meets her, and he automatically falls in love. I think it's because she's shiny and new, and obviously he's kind of rusted and kind of old, but whatever. Okay, so they eventually meet, and he eventually talks to her, and she's saying to him in different dialects, and then she says directive, and then he understands her. And then so he shows that he makes little dirt cubes, and then he asks her what her directive is, and then she says classified, she's not supposed to talk about what she's supposed to do. And then so she asks him his name, and then he goes WALL-E, and then it's so cute. And then he asks her name, and she goes Eve, and then he goes Eva. He's so cute. I love WALL-E. But as they're talking, a sandstorm starts to like come in, and so he takes Eve to his like dumpster house kind of thing, and like so, and in his house he has all the things that he's collected. Like he has like a Rubik's cube, and he gives it to her, and she like solves it really fast, and he gives her a light bulb, like an old worn out light bulb, and she actually like makes it come to light again, you know, by flicking it. It's really cool. And he shows her like VHS tapes and all this different older stuff. And then he shows her a plant that he found when going through the garbage. He found a plant in a shoe. And so she scans it, and then she found the plant, so she like absorbs it in her robot cortex, I guess. And then she goes into like sleep mode, I guess, and then so she's sending a signal to the ship that dropped her off to come pick her up, because that's what she was supposed to do. She was supposed to find life. So the ship does come for her, and then he follows her because he doesn't know what's going on, and obviously he doesn't want to lose her. So he follows her into space. And then, so this is like the first time I think Wally interacted with humans, or at least he interacted with humans in a long time. And because of like anti-gravitatory stuff, all the people are like really heavily obese, and they actually don't walk. They like have hover chairs. I think that's also why they never got any exercise. They don't have a proper diet, that type of thing. But anyway. He's swerving through the crowd to get to Eve, and they bring her to the captain, and then they go to see about what would they do with the plant after when they got it, and obviously the plant's not there. Now, where did the plant go? Nobody knows, but for some reason the plant's not there when they get to the captain, so they're like, oh, she must be defective. So they bring her to the robot infirmary to get her checked up, and then they send Wally there because they say that he's dirty. So they both bring there, and obviously Wally thinks that Eve's being tortured because they're like popping her arm off, and he's hearing like weird screeching noises from another robot that they're repairing in the same room, and he thinks that they're hurting her. Obviously, I don't think you can they feel pain, but it's weird. Moving on. So he tries to save her, and then he ends up breaking out of the barricade that he was held in, and then he causes like a red alert, and then so there are like cop bots on the ship. They like take pictures, and then they're like, oh, wanted, unsafe robots or whatever. So she's like, Wally, and then they like are technically wanted against, because they think they're going the other robots and the people think they've gone rogue, but they haven't. They just they accidentally broke stuff. So they're like, okay, what can we do? And then they found the plant again, but then like some of the robots tried to get in the way. Like there's this little robot that helps the captain and the how can I explain this to you? His name is Otto. He's like the autopilot. Autopilot. So Autopilot and this little gopher robot, they plot against the plant because years and years ago, I guess the president issued an initiative called A113, which it said, do not return to Earth. No matter what, do not return to Earth. Obviously, that goes against what the captain's been told, which was if there ever was an Eve bot that came back with a plant, that means that the world is habitable again. So, like, the captain and, like, Otto get in a fight, and then Autopilot, like, kind of in a way goes rogue, and then he, like, locks the captain up. And then so, but he finds a way to, like, hotwire the security cameras to have a film of him. So he says, oh, Eve and Wally, if you have the plant, bring it to the deck, because we could put it in and then it would automatically send them home, right? So when they're on their way to do that, though, Wally is trying to give Eve the plant, and then Otto hurts him by like shocking him, like he's like stabs him, and then like his battery kind of dies, and he falls down the garbage chute, and then so Eve obviously screams in pain because obviously that's her friend. She really cares about him, and they shut her down, and then they throw her down the garbage chute, and then she turns on again when they get into the garbage, and then she finds Wally, and then she tries to repair him with different like motherboards, but none of them fit. So obviously the only thing she can think of is obviously to get the plant to the Lido deck and get home, because at his home he would have the proper chip and the proper things to fix Wally. So they are like fighting with the robot, like some of the robots, they became friends with some of the robots from the infirmary. So the robots from the infirmary, Eve and Wally, were like fighting against the cop robots and stuff. And then they finally they try to get the plant into the Lido deck, but then like the gravity of the ship like fails. So like everybody like falls out of their chair, and they're all like flopping around and bouncing around. And then like, they have to Eve's trying to save them and the plant. It's all a big mess. But then she gets Wally, and then Wally puts the plant, or is trying to put the plant in the thing, but then the stance that it's supposed to go in, it starts to like lower. So his body is like trying to hold it up, and obviously he gets crushed, and he gets even more hurt. So they put the plant in the thing, and then obviously it says, oh, set course for Earth, and then they like light speed off into space, like back home. And then they get there, and obviously they see what the world is like. They see that the world is like still full of garbage, but they say that they're gonna fix it. All the people are walking now, so they're like all gonna farm and fix the world, I guess. And then Eve like shoots off to the house, and then she puts another motherboard, and then she fixes his body, and then she shoots the roof to have his solar panel, which is how he charges his batteries, to light up. So she does it all, and then he charges up, and then she's like, Wally, like in relief that he's okay. And then he like looks at her like, who are you? I guess changing the motherboard and doing what she did must have like wiped his memory or his like service farms or whatever, because he technically got fixed, but he doesn't remember anything of what just happened. So she's like, Wally, wait, like, hello, and he doesn't care. He just wants to, he kind of goes back to his original directive, which is clean up the garbage. And then in a way she sees that he's not the same anymore, so she does, like, she kind of like, in a way, in her own way, says goodbye, and then she like kisses him in a robotic way, I guess. And then she goes to leave, but then his hand, you see his hand like merge through hers, like, because they do have fingers, so that like you see his hand like merge with hers, and then he like, you see his eyes like focus, and then he's like, Eva, and then and he's like, what? And she's like, Wally, and then he looks at his hand, and he notices that they're holding hands. He's like, Eva, like he's really excited because he wanted to do that for a very long time. He wanted to do that like forever in the movie. And then she's like, Wally, and then she like scoops him up, and then she spins him around, and then he like nudges her head under hers, and you hear like somewhat romantic music in the background, and they're like kissing kinda in that robotic way again. And then like you see other robots trying to look at them, and they're like, and then there's like one robot like, come on, go, give him privacy, go away. And then the movie ends with them being together, and then the people like starting to plant and trying to fix the world again. Overall, it's a beautiful movie. I think it has a message. I think these movies that like say, if we don't take care of what we have, stuff can happen type of movie. I like movies that have that type of message. Like, we gotta watch, because the world could be there one day if we don't watch what we're doing, you know? Like, I really care about the environment. I think you guys should too. I think it's important. Otherwise, we're gonna be like WALL-E. I don't want that. I assume you guys don't want that either. But if I had to rate this movie 1 out of 5, I'll give it a 5 for the personal message, like, of taking care of the earth. And then I think it's also, I think the way that they gave robotic intelligence, like, personality is definitely different, and, like, it's definitely something that's, like, cool, and it could be there. We could be there with technology in a few years. We're not that far off. So I think it's gonna be cool if we ever get to see that type of stuff. But I don't think we should ever take, like, advantage of it like how they do in WALL-E. Like, have robots do everything for us. You know what I'm saying? But that wraps up this video. If you have any suggestions, write down in the comments, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!